Hey, I'm Nicolia and thanks for tuning into this video as today I'll be showing you how to build the fastest possible fungus farm, and at the end I'll even show you a design that works in the nether where you can't even use water. This type of farm not only produces 17,000 fungus per hour, but it can also supply itself with 60% of the bone meal that it consumes. Amazingly, the unique properties of mud is what makes this farm mathematically the quickest. Similar to soul sand, mud is slightly lower than a normal block, but unlike soul sand, you can place all types of plants on top of it. What this all means is that you can make a platform out of mud for the nether plants to grow on top of, and then you can place an array of hoppers beneath the mud to collect all the items as soon as they drop. This muddy technique reduces lag and boosts the rates of the farm, as current designs pause the system every few seconds to collect all the items, which slows them down. If you want a fungus farm for 1.18 and below, I highly suggest checking out these designs by Krebs, as they can also work in the nether. To further help with lag, I opted for a dustless design, meaning that the materials list for this farm is a bit more expensive to what would otherwise be possible with the utilization of dust. If you really like this design but don't play in 1.19, then you can swap out the mud for farmland, although there are some caveats to this. If you decide to compost the excess plants you get from this farm, you'll still need to provide around 7,000 bone meal, which you can automatically get with a moss farm, such as this one designed by Dark. Now, most of you will be building this farm to fuel your nether tree farm with fungus, so in that case, make sure you build this around a chunk away from the bone meal input of that farm, so that you have enough room in between them to add item filters and various item transportation systems. Okay, so to begin, we're going to place a strip of 4 glass like so, and then white stained glass in a trapdoor facing into the glass pane. And then we're going to come over here, and we're going to make a T-shape kind of out of the rest of this glass, and then place a hopper. And then this hopper is going to be collecting all the items, so this is kind of just a placeholder. You'll probably want to add a couple more hoppers connected to an item filter or something like that. But I'm just using one hopper here just for the purpose of the tutorial. Okay, then you want an observer on top of the glass with solid blocks on either side like that, and then a wall. And you chuck down 3 rails there with an observer facing outwards. And then once you have that, you want to come over to this corner and then build out 2 blocks. The glass is being a bit funky there. And then build another 5 blocks over, so you come out 1 in front of this, and then you just want to build around this glass a bit like that, just kind of in case what we have got going on there, and then fill in this whole area. So something like this. And then lastly, you just want to place down some water there just to flush the items over. Okay, now we want to place observers going in a line kind of like this. And then we want an observer facing up like that. And then coming over here, we just want 2 hoppers facing in like that. And then we kind of have a tricky observer to place. It's got to be looking down like that. Then grab your glass, because we're going to make another little border going around like this. And then you want to chuck some signs on the wall there. Okay, next up, we're going to place 2 chests like that. A dropper facing this way, and then another one going up. And one going in the opposite direction, with an observer facing inwards like that, and then we're just going to simply have a downwards facing dropper there. Okay, and then centered on this dropper here, we're going to have a kind of 5x5 grid of droppers all facing down. So I'll just start like this. You kind of get the idea, right? Okay, and then once you've done that, I'm going to place 2 hoppers going like so, with some glass going on top there. And then you want to place down your water source there, and then come over here, place down your water source in that corner. Okay, and then coming over to the side here, we want a hopper, hopper, hopper with air blocks in the middle. And then we fill those air with observers, and then we just do the same thing on this side. Then on this area here, we place a temporary block, then observer, and then you just have a dropper facing any direction. And then lastly, we want a solid block there with droppers facing any direction. Okay, so for this next section, we're going to place the only dispenser like that. And then we have a bit of a weird dropper to place down, so just get into crawling mode and kind of place it down like so. So we have our downwards facing dropper. And then you simply have stained glass there, downwards facing hopper. And then you have another one of those weird droppers. You just pop down into the water stream like that. And then an observer facing down. Everything's facing down these days. Like so. And then one's coming out the side. So it just takes the signal around like that. Okay, then I'm going to come over here, place down a note block, and then a whole strip of hoppers all facing down here, and then I'm going to come one layer down, more hoppers facing down. But these ones at the very end, they're going to be facing into the hoppers on that side. And this layer, they're all facing down once more. And then we have two facing down. This one's facing into that dropper. And then that one's facing into that hopper. That one's also facing into that hopper. So I tried to make it symmetric. Just a lot easier to build that way. And then just to finish off, we have some observers. Just like that, pointing down. Yeah, that's that layer all done. Okay, so we're going to place wool there, which is going to nullify the sound of the note block. Hopefully in future versions that's been changed. And then we're going to go out a little bit with this glass. And then we get a little bit muddy. So place down a 5x6 area of mud. And then the center two blocks, we're just going to place down some nylium. Now over here, start by facing some pistons inwards like so. And then go 2 blocks of glass over, grab a dropper, make sure it's facing down. And then grab hopper like that. So that's facing across, that one's facing down. Then a glass pane, normal glass, and then build out some temporary blocks so we can place down some more inwards facing pistons. By contrast, this next layer is going to be a lot easier. So start off by having some downwards facing observers, like that. And then we're going to go 2 blocks of glass over, piston facing up, 4 more blocks of glass, and then back to our downwards facing observers, and then finished off with some more glass, kind of like that. And then if you screwed this up, you can just fix it pretty easily. Well, in case you haven't noticed, we're up to the very last layer of the farm already. I'm going to start by placing down these rails, and I'm going to do an observer on top, with an observer like there, and then just a dropper facing in any old direction, with a observer facing into a solid block like so. And then I'm going to come over here, place down a glass pane with a trapdoor facing into the glass pane, very important. 3 more observers, a couple more stone, and then we have some awkward pistons to place down again, so you kind of have to crouch and aim up. There we go. And then you have to replace that one with a dropper, because we're going to take an observer output like so, and then just fill in this top area all with glass. And ladies and gents, that is your farm done. Okay, so now to the actual last part of this tutorial, is the minecart alignment. So in the farm over here, you may have noticed that there is a minecart. And this minecart is precariously placed, so it's on top of these 2 hoppers, but it's not like directly on top of this mud, because otherwise it'll lock the hoppers below it and that will jam. So we have to position this in such a way that it doesn't jam. So if you get out 3 chests, I mean you can just do it with 2, and you give yourself a bit of room. I'm going to push the minecart so it aligns against the first hopper, and then get rid of the rail, and then just push it gently to the side so it just moves over a little bit, and cover up the top. And now you've got your minecart aligned, but we need to get 2 blocks in here somehow. So the best way I found to do this is by 0-ticking them in, using a very simple setup. Just like that. Place the button on top of the piston so it's going to break. And that basically powers and depowers the piston in the same tick, which is 0-ticking it. And you can just check the hitbox. You can see here that it aligns against the hopper, both hoppers, and it's not directly on top of the mud. So items can still get collected by the hopper below. And now that's your farm done. So yeah, cool. To get the farm running, make sure you have some bone meal in this chest back here, and then just flick this lever. You can leave this chunk loaded. If you want to mainly farm the crimson variant of plants, you can just swap out the nylium in the center for crimson. Just make sure you use the silk touch pickaxe. If you have a nether tree farm that's in the nether, and hence you need a nether compatible fungus farm, I also made this design that doesn't use any water. There's a world download in the description for this design too. If you have any questions, I advise you to first read the FAQ in the pinned comment, and then if you still need extra help, you can join the Huge Fungus Discord server linked in the description, as there are plenty of fungus enthusiasts on there who would love to help resolve any issues. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the video all the way through, and I hope that my fungus farm serves you well. Have an awesome day.